Okay, so finally we get to the point of sharpen your pencils, right? It feels like sometimes in certain projects that it takes forever to get to this point. And I will tell you, as you know, full disclosure, there are times when somebody just starts talking about a design and I immediately pick up a pencil or pen or something and start sketching, right? Because I don't want to forget what I'm thinking about. But this is the formalized part of that, right? So you probably have already done thumbnails, right? In other classes, we have you do thumbnails. But I am going to go through this a little bit more kind of blow by blow, so I can point out specific things about each one of these. Now, I don't know, we're not going to have enough time to do all three of these, but we will at least do thumbnails, and I will have you do a comp, okay? But these are all planning sketches, okay? Now, thumbnails, these are these little brief, trying to see how my camera is over here. Not like this. There we go. All right. So maybe 1.5 by 2 inch-ish. Okay. It doesn't have to be quite that formal, but it's not huge, right? You're not trying to draw the Mona Lisa here. Okay. It should be the greatest volume of the sketches that you do. This is not when you are weeding out ideas, right? This is basically brainstorming with a pencil or a pen or a marker or whatever. Okay. It's okay if halfway through a thumbnail you know it's not going to work. You can just slash a line through it and move on to the next one, right? That's what this process should be like. Okay. How many thumbnails should you do? Yes, all of them, right? You just keep doing them. And as you keep doing them, you'll find certain motifs start repeating themselves, certain things start feeling good under your hand. There's certain types of gestures, certain types of line, certain types of placement, right, that will turn out to be kind of more formative, right, that feel like they're speaking more to the creative brief, right, the concept statement, right, the inspired by nature as opposed to inspired by some other thing, right? But we're not weeding things out, okay? There is no bad thumbnail, right? And when we get back into the lab, I will show you, like I have pages and pages and pages of all kinds of sketches that I will show you. I leave notes to myself in them, when I make a discovery, like there's a reason this one is totally inappropriate for what we're doing, or isn't this interesting, or something like that. So these will be the largest volume. Okay. And oh no, my thumbnail examples are not here. Okay, well, we'll just move on to roughs, and I guess I'll have to show you this stuff in person, or I'll upload some pictures. The roughs, after considering all of your thumbnails, select a few to explore in more detail, right? So these are the ones that seem to be moving in a direction that is supportive of your concept, the ones that felt good under your hand, that seem to flow really well, that were balanced, that were hitting all the right notes in the design fundamentals, right? They are larger than thumbnails. So you are dealing more with making sure things are scaled more like they are going to be in the final product. Shape, you may be kind of mimicking typography. So rather than just, writing, just writing the word, text goes here, like actually writing a word that might be, there. Instead of putting like script text, you might actually do something in a little bit of a script. Nothing super formal, right? But if you're going to take the top third of a design to do the top text or masthead or whatever, then you'd want to assign kind of the top third of a rough, right? So we're starting to really consider what is the format, right? So the format is what sort of material is this going to be printed on or produced on, and how large is that thing. So if you're doing a website, right, that's a different thing than if you're doing a business card, right? So roughs often are in the same kind of footprint that the final design is going to be, whereas thumbnails, we really don't care. Okay. All right, and then comprehensives, right? Color comps. These are the big granddaddy of all the sketches, okay? This is, you reproduce as best you can on paper. Sometimes we do digital sketches, right? It depends on what our end result is. In 101, we will do these manually. We will do the color comp manually, but there are plenty of places where they do them digitally, but we will have practice doing them at least one time manually, okay? These we want to be as detailed as possible and as close to the size of the final design as is reasonable. If you're designing a billboard, you do not need to make a billboard size comp. But if you are making a design for a three-dimensional object, mock-ups are really important, right? If you're making a label that's going to go around a bottle, right? You can sketch your label down on a paper and actually tape it to a bottle, right? So that we can see what that interaction is between your design and the actual geometry that will be underneath that design, okay? We do these in colors that are as close as possible to what you perceive the final colors to be. We still make changes, right? And when we get back to the lab, I will show you some of the comps that I have examples of, where you can see that there were still some final tweaks that would happen between the sketched comp and then the final actual design of things. This is the final sketch planning tool, okay? This is the sort of thing where if your client is not happy with the color comp, you need to actually sit there and revisit that deeply, right? Because there's almost no, this is going to be terribly different when you see it next, kind of left, right? We're trying to really give them the best possible example of what things will really look like, okay? And so that was shorter because I don't have my comp examples, but I will still go ahead and stop here. There's a 3D mock-up that I'll show you. And then the last video will be the implementation.